What's up, everybody? Garrett back here, and what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about Scream Factory. Yes, Scream Factory we are talking about again. Now, why? Well, Scream Factory has now shut down their website, has moved to Gruv, and there's just been a lot of changes with that company. With that company that, to me, was like the top dog when it came to horror and physical media. Now, again, being that top dog, it reminds me so much of Anchor Bay back in the DVD days. But they were the Anchor Bay for Blu-rays. They really got a lot of people into the horror genre. It was specifically for horror. So it was such a cool concept at the time. And I really do think that it kind of snowballed a lot of these boutique labels we see now. Now, again, much like Anchor Bay, what this company did do for me was it opened my eyes to a lot of movies that just passed me by that I absolutely love. Now, again, some of these movies I'd seen before, some of these movies I'd seen for the first time due to their release from Scream Factory, but what I wanted to talk about today is that what's going to go on in the near future with Scream Factory. They're going to stay on Gruv, we know that. There's some titles that they're going to be releasing, but I've also seen that they put a lot of movies on YouTube, and I've heard when the licenses expire for physical media, they're just going to keep the digital rights, and as far as where these movies go after that, I have no idea. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to grab 15 titles here. 15 titles that I think would be ones to kind of keep your eye on or check out, because when these things are gone, they could be gone. Now, again, there's so many other companies that could pick these things up. Yes, we've seen it so many times before. Things like Beast Within, Kino has grabbed it. We've seen the Kino grab a lot of these titles. And same with Vinegar Syndrome. They grab in a lot of these old Scream Factory licenses. But with these 15 here, I look at these and I say, they're still available, number one. You can either get these on Gruv or on Amazon. So we have that. They're non-collector's editions. I took non-collector's editions because I'm pretty confident that the collector's editions are going to get picked up by another company if that becomes the case. Or re-released again by Scream Factory or reproduced by Scream Factory. But these ones here, I'm a little unsure of. They could come out from another company or maybe not. So I wanted to give you these 15 because these are really cool movies that I think you guys should add to your collection. All right, so I'm going to start with one that I've talked about on this channel many times before. It's still available, and that is a movie called Scream for Help. I've talked about this before on other videos talking about Scream Factory releases or overlooked movies of the 80s. This was kind of the original Stepfather. You know the movie Stepfather? This was kind of the original Stepfather. This was a Tom Holland joint, but it wasn't as successful as he wanted it to be, and he kind of blames the director for that. But it's a real cool movie nonetheless that I think you guys definitely need to add to your collection, because as far as this goes, I don't know if I see this getting another release anytime soon. So again, with these releases as well, if you can say, you know what, this could be the end-all be-all. I don't need this on a 4K. The Scream Factory Blu-ray will be just fine. Some of these are definitely ones you should grab. All right, here's an early 80s joint. This one is really, really cool. It's a high school horror movie. It's about Satan going to high school, basically. You know me, I'm a huge Class of 1984 fan, and one of the dudes in that movie is the star of this movie here, and that is Fear No Evil. Look at this cool cover here with like the yearbook, and there's him right there. So very, very cool. You've got basically this kid, Andrew, who is Lucifer. And he goes to high school, and all these things kind of ensue. I love these kind of like satanic cult kind of horror movies here. I really do kind of like these, and this is a real cool one. And there's actually a lot of cool deleted scenes on here that I wish made the movie, man. This is a really cool addition. Now, again, will this ever get released again? I don't know, but if you don't have this in your collection, it's still available, and I highly recommend it. All right, now this one is one that is a sequel to a very popular horror movie. Now, this didn't have any real release for quite a while. It came out by Warner Archives on DVD like way later, and then Scream Factory released it on Blu-ray. Now, I do have a little box set. This was by Cinemuseum, so you know kind of how that company works. They don't really follow any of the main rules here, but I don't know if this one's ever going to get another standalone release. Maybe. If I was Arrow, I probably would do it in the future, but just in case they don't, here's one, Return to Salem's Lot, which to me is pretty underrated of a sequel. It's very different than the first one, but it is a pretty cool movie nonetheless. I know a lot of people really don't enjoy this one just because it is so far from the original, but I'm fond of this movie as well. And again, with Salem's Lot coming out on 4K from Arrow, it would only make sense that they would kind of do a companion piece with this one, kind of like they did with Hills Have Eyes and Hills Have Eyes 2. Hills Have Eyes 2 can get a nice chunky addition to go with The Hills Have Eyes 1. I don't see that Return to Salem's Lot would have any problem, but again, you never know. So one to keep your eye on. It's still available now. And if you don't care to have this on 4K or a chunky box or anything like that, then you can probably get this at a pretty decent price. All right, now this one is one that I could see Kino Cult maybe doing this, but this was another movie that was very sought after in the days of DVD for a long time, until it was released by Warner Archives as well. And that is Killer Party. I love this movie. It kind of almost feels like a teen comedy with some horror elements in here. So very, very cool. I talked about this briefly on my top heavy metal horror movies because there is a scene in this with a band called White Sister where they play the theme song April for this flick. April! And I absolutely love this movie. And it was so awesome to finally see it get a nice release like this because like I said, on DVD all it had was a Warner Archives release. And then I think the VHS was all it had other than that. But this could be something I could see Kino Cult getting their hands on. But you never know. And Killer Party is definitely one that you guys should have in your collection. And I don't know if I would see this license get renewed if it came time. So I don't know. A lot of Warner stuff here. So I don't know if they ended up getting some kind of package deal. And that's why all these smaller titles are part of this catalog. But something to keep your eye out for. So the next one as well is another one that was a hard-to-find DVD for a long time on Anchor Bay. I talked about this in my hard-to-find DVDs, probably volume 1 of that series or volume 2, because this was very sought after by Anchor Bay for a long time. And when I talked about this on that video, I'm surprised to see how many people were like, oh my God, I loved that movie. Because it's one that just really gets overlooked and forgot about. And I've always been a huge fan of this one, but that is William Friedkin's The Guardian. The Guardian is a real cool movie for sure. I love this movie. Now, will this ever see the light of day? I don't know. But I would say this, like, to me, this wouldn't be an end-all be-all of this movie. If this came out in a real fancy 4K, I'd snag it for sure. But I don't know, this could get re-released maybe by Kino. But The Guardian is one you definitely want to have in your collection. And if you're cool with just a Blu-ray of this movie, this is the best way to get it. All right, here's an interesting one. Here's an interesting pick from Scream Factory. I know that this is available somewhere else, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I really don't think we'll ever see this again on a standalone physical media release. So if you like horror documentaries, especially 80s horror documentaries, one of the biggest and most classic horror documentaries of all time is going to be Terror in the Aisles. Now, I talk about this on another video I did talking about like the best horror documentaries of all time or of the 80s, and this was one. So this one you actually can find if you have the Halloween 2 Blu-ray, the first one that they put out. It is a special feature on there, not the Scream Factory Blu-ray, but just like the one that they put out, the studio put out. You can get that as a special feature. So if you have that edition, don't worry about this. But this did come in a standalone edition. And other than this, there's a VHS of this movie, but I just really don't think this is ever going to get a standalone edition like this. It was actually pretty cool that they gave this one big edition, and it's got some special features on it and stuff like that. But Terror in the Aisles, if you like horror documentaries, this is probably the last time you're going to get this. All right, so to make this easy, I'm going to make this a twofer, so it doesn't count as two picks. And that is going to be Ben and Willard. Ben and Willard, these were two movies, especially Ben, that were very, very sought after back in the day. There was bootlegs of this. I think this was the first time this had been released on physical media since maybe VHS, if I'm correct. But Ben was one that people were so stoked about back in the day. And same with the sequel, Willard. But you guys mostly know Willard because there was a remake with Crispin Glover that came out that maybe people kind of opened their eyes to this older movie here. But this is the sequel to Ben. But what makes this movie so special or so unique, why this took forever to get a release, is because the main song is sung by Michael Jackson, which is actually on this release. And I know that for a while was one of the big reasons why this thing could not get out. There was bootlegs of this flying around everywhere for years. So when I think about that, and now since his passing, I don't know if we'll ever see this again. I don't know if what the issue is with the rights, if we'd ever get this put out again. But it would be a cool, like, kind of chunky box with these two inside. That would be pretty cool, actually. But I would say grab these movies because I have a feeling that Ben isn't something that we're going to see anytime soon. All right, now here's a real cool one. I love this movie. I could see this getting another release, but if you don't care about 4K of this and you just want to check it out and get a kind of a good price on it, it's The Mangler with Robert Englund. I love this movie. It's a Stephen King joint, and I absolutely adore this movie. It's so bonkers that I just love it. I talk about it on another video about overlooked movies. But basically, it's about a killer like laundromat, basically, or like laundry press. But this is a Tobe Hooper joint as well. So you get Tobe Hooper, Stephen King, Robert Englund. I mean, it's pretty damn badass. I really do like this movie a lot. It did spawn a couple sequels. It would be great to get like a box set of all of them. But this is definitely a very overlooked gem that I think you guys need in your collection. All right, this next one is kind of a horror comedy. It reminds me much of Teen Wolf, I guess. But it's more about it being a demon, not a wolf. And this is My Demon Lover. This was put out, obviously, by Scream Factory as well. And this is one that also took a while to get a DVD release back in the day. It did get one, but it was years that a lot of people were buying bootlegs of this movie. But finally, it came out on Blu-ray. And really cool edition here. It's got a lot of features, to be quite honest. And again, if you don't care about horror comedies on 4K or anything like that, I don't see anybody getting Demon Lover a lot of love anytime soon. So yeah, it's about this guy who's possessed and he ends up meeting this girl, and he's kind of like a horny demon, I guess you would say. But cool effects. I like it. It's cheesy, but it's fun as hell. My Demon Lover is one you guys should definitely add to your collection. All right, here's another cool-ass movie. I'm a huge James Spader guy, as you know, but Jack's Back is really, really cool. It's kind of like a Jack the Ripper type thing. It's got kind of like split personalities, or does he not? So that's a really cool concept of this movie. Jack's Back is definitely one that, man, this was another one. I don't even think this had a DVD release, to be quite honest with you. So I think it jumped right to Blu-ray, I think. I didn't own this on DVD at all. I actually hadn't even heard of this until this release. I mean, I heard of it, but I'd never seen it till this release. So I was stoked when this thing came out. So Jack's Back is one that's still there that I think you guys should definitely check out because, again, I don't know if we see Jack's Back anytime soon. I'm trying to see what company owns this. It doesn't say anything on the back. It doesn't say like Warner or anything like that. But definitely one that I would probably grab because we may never see it again. All right, here's another movie that it was super hard to find on DVD, I know, because I've looked everywhere for it forever, from Anchor Bay, but this was the Blu-ray, and I was so stoked when this came out, and so were a lot of people that just couldn't find this thing on DVD, and that is the anthology Nightmares. Now, this is a real cool movie. Again, it's still around. I don't think this has been re-released by Kino or anything like that. I don't think it could have been. So if it was, I am sorry and I apologize. But it's definitely one, no matter who releases it, to check out. Now, this may never get another release. Universal owns this one. Maybe somebody will pick it up. I look at it and I think maybe Kino Lorber would probably take this thing. But it's a real good anthology. I absolutely love it. The stories in here are really, really cool. And it's super overlooked with some of these cool, tense stories from this anthology. All right, like I said, we're going back to the DVD days. This one was, I don't even know if it had a DVD. If it was impossible to find. I had a bootleg of this for years, but when this came out, I was super stoked because I love this kind of bonkers cheesiness, and that is The Brain. Now, this thing is off the walls bonkers. This is a cool-ass movie, and like I said, I don't know if this is going to get any more releases, to be honest, because I do know that this thing was hard to find for a long-ass time. So it was so cool to kind of see this release here. I'm trying to see a 2K scan of the surviving film elements. So there's not a lot available for this movie. So this might be the best you're going to get. But if you want some wacky B-80s bonkers horror, you got to get The Brain. Now, here's an interesting one. This is a very interesting one. This is a whole story revolving around this movie that I could get into. But I don't want to keep this super long. I just want to inform you guys. If you guys want to know more about this, then we can do a whole other video talking about it. But this thing was a sought-after movie for so long. Bootlegs flying around everywhere. It was supposed to be in theaters. It got pulled. This thing thought it was never going to see the light of day again. And finally, it came out from Scream Factory, and people were going nuts for it because it was a lot of lore behind this thing, and that is the Poughkeepsie tapes. Now, I don't know the story on this as far as like who owns the rights now. Maybe it's still Scream Factory. It says Orion Pictures on the back. I'm just trying to see if it has any other labels or anything like that. But this was a found footage movie that was like, everybody's like, it's real, it's real. And to kind of feel that way in the 2000s was very rare. And this is a definitely creepy ass movie. Poughkeepsie Tapes is one. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a buy. It's worth a check for sure. Because I don't know the status of this movie, and this may never get another release, at least here in the States. Maybe overseas or something like that, we'll get something. Maybe Second Sight does something with this thing. But Poughkeepsie Tapes is still available for anybody who hasn't seen it. All right, I got two more that I've talked about on this channel before in other videos of overlooked movies. And the first one is a movie, I've talked about this so many times in my Animal Attacks movies. I love the movie. I love it. And I definitely think everybody should check this thing out. It's a 70s joint, so it definitely feels early 70s if you like that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is a cool movie, guys. It's basically about this doctor who's turning people into snakes, and he has this new assistant that he's kind of testing some stuff on, and you start to see this guy gradually start getting snake-like instincts. It's really, really fun, really cool movie. But yeah, Animal Attacks flick. I love this movie. If you don't think you need this on any other edition, this is the one to get. I don't know if we're going to get this anytime soon. It did have a DVD, but I don't know if anybody's going to pick this up anytime soon. But it's a cool, fun-ass movie, and it's still available for you guys to grab. All right, now the last one is one that I think will maybe someday get a release. This is another Warner Brothers title. It did have a DVD, but this is a fun 90s flick. Very, very fun. And it's Man's Best Friend with Lance Henriksen. Man, I love this movie. It's about this like Terminator dog, basically. And some of the effects on this are wild. And I just absolutely love it. And it's another Animal Attacks movie that I kind of put on my overlooked list. I think they were both on that list at that point. But this is one that I highly recommend. If you don't need this on any other edition, 4K or anything like that, this is one to definitely check out. I don't know who would put this out. I'm trying to think. Could it be like Vestron maybe, or MVD or something like that? But Man's Best Friend is a cool movie that you guys definitely should add to your collection. Now, that was 15, maybe even 16 if you want to count Ben and Willard as they're separate. Movies that is still available on Gruv, on Amazon, and the prices are pretty good still for these. They're not what they were during that secret sale, but they're still pretty damn good. And if you haven't seen any of these, I highly recommend them. And if you're not somebody that needs to upgrade everything, then these Blu-rays are perfect. They are great, and a lot of these movies I don't think need upgrades. But if they ever get re-released by another company, that's unknown to me. So we may never see some of these again, or these may be re-released in the next year or so. But if you don't care about that kind of stuff, you're just looking to grab some cool-ass movies from Scream Factory, I'm actually kind of trying to round out some of my Scream Factory collection. I was collecting everything for so long, and then I kind of like phased out a little bit with some things. I'm trying to almost round it out, because to me, it's really given me an Anchor Bay feel. I know they're still in good hands right now, but again, the writing could be on the wall for the future with this. So because they were so important to me as a Blu-ray and physical media and horror collector, I'm kind of going back and trying to kind of piece some of these things together with my collection. Same as I'm doing with Anchor Bay and stuff like that, because they were so iconic for horror physical media history. So guys, I just wanted to give you that information. Let me know down below, are there any of these that you still have? I grabbed a couple other ones for this list, but they're actually already out of print, so I don't know if they're ever going to get a release or if someone else is going to pick them up. But you are going to see some of those titles in a list video that I have coming at the end of the week. Now guys, this is Garrett at Born2beRad. Thank you for checking this out. Make sure to hit that like, that hype button, and subscribe if you liked this video. And guys, until next time, keep staying rad.